Okay, good. Great. Hello, everybody. So today I really want to do some interaction. So this isn't just me talking to a blank screen, but this is me talking to participants. There's 9 of you in here. Hi, Cheryl. How are you?
Hi, you want me to introduce you?
I'm sorry?
You want me to introduce you?
Oh, if you want to, yeah, why not? Go for it.
I can't. I don't have anything printed, so but I don't need it because I know so much about Michelle Jewsbury. She has written a book that really propelled her speaking career. But I love it, and and she works with survivors of domestic violence, herself being one, being that that's what the book is about, abuse and violence. She started a group, nonprofit group, to help others. She's an international celebrity. She speaks all over the world globally, and it's our privilege, our honor, and my special honor to always watch her. I've watched her. She's grown over the last 2 years, and she lost her mom last year. And I've become like I'm watching her from for her mom from heaven, is what I'll say. So it's my honor to bring on Michelle Jewsbury.
Hey, thank you, Cheryl. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And yeah, you have become sort of like my motherly figure for sure, and I really appreciate what you do, what the team does, and just appreciate you so much, Cheryl. I mean, I get messages. This is why you're part of Powerteam, because you get messages, you get to talk to people. Like Austin was saying, we're a family, and we like to continue to be family. So we help each other out when we need to, and just uplift each other. So thank you, everybody, for being on. And Cheryl, thank you so much for that great introduction. I am honored to be on this stage. I'm always honored to be on this stage. Powerteam International has done so much for me. It has been absolutely amazing. Let me pin this. There we go. Perfect. And my life has completely changed. But it's not about me today. It's about everybody else on this thread. So what I actually want to do today is talk a bit about obstacles, especially right now. Talk a bit about how we can overcome a lot of our fear, a lot of our anxiety, a lot of the depression that a lot of people are experiencing. I have a lot of clients right now who have come to me and asked me for help, which is quite interesting during this time, specifically to get over the stay at home. A lot of people are stuck at home. A lot of people are alone. And this is just a time of new growth, is what I like to say it is, because this isn't a time where we can sit back and not do anything. This is a time where we need to pivot, where we need to move, where we need to enroll in great classes and courses, get great people on our team. So it's super impressive that you guys are all here. So make sure to give your guys a big round of applause. But today I'm going to talk about 5 simple steps to help you overcome a lot of the obstacles that you're currently facing, and then a lot of trauma that you've experienced in the past. We deal with a lot of survivors of not only domestic violence, but childhood trauma and abuse, and we help them battle that, help them overcome what they've experienced. So before I jump into all of this education and training, if it's okay with everybody on the thread, I'm going to talk a little bit about who I am and why I actually am on this stage. You know, it's quite interesting when speakers just come up and start blabbing and you have no idea who they are. So how about I introduce myself and tell you a bit about me, and then I'll jump into these awesome steps to help you overcome challenges. So I was born in Sandpoint, Idaho, to amazing parents. I love my mom and dad. I miss them very much. Like Cheryl said in the very beginning, I lost my mother recently, and I lost my father about 5 years ago. But I grew up in a household where love was the base of everything. And my mom and my dad and my brother and I knew that we were family. And my father was in the military, so we traveled a lot. We lived in Hawaii and Idaho and Vermont and Arizona and Portland, Oregon, and you name it, kind of all over the place. Well, when I was about 7 years old, we ended up starting our travels. So starting moving. So I switched schools very rapidly. I remember living in Vermont, and I switched schools like 3 different times in Vermont every year. So things were, sorry about that. Things were a bit challenging growing up, only because we had to rely on our family, and we knew that once we made friends, those friendships might not last because we are going to be stationed someplace else in the next 12 to 16 months. So we kind of relied on each other, and I loved that because, you know, like I said, my parents were loving, but my mom was always my cheerleader. No matter if I wanted to be a garbage truck driver, or if I wanted to be a varsity cheerleader, or if I wanted to be a professional gymnast, you know, she allowed me to dream, and to dream big. And it is so important, especially right now, you guys, to be able to dream. And my mom was able to instill that in me, which I am so grateful for. Mama, I miss you so much. But I remember at 16 years old, my mom was working at a restaurant. She was a manager of a restaurant while I was growing up. And she told me to get a restaurant job. So this was my first technical job, and I started as a hostess and worked my way up to a server, and then a bartender and manager and back of the house, you name it. I was washing dishes, and I was kind of on the line cooking here and there, but you don't want me to do that. So I was more in front of the house, and I loved that because I loved interacting with people, just like we're interacting now. And I got to learn a lot about my clients and, well, customers at the time, and really loved just hearing stories. But at that point in my life, I knew that I wanted something more. So how many of you out there, I mean, if you're here, just put a 1 in the chat. How many of you guys want something more in your life? You know that's why you're here. That's why you're on this call. That's why you're on the summit, is because you want more. I know a lot of people do. And at that point in my life, I wanted to be a Hollywood star. So when I was 19 years old, just shortly after I began in the restaurant industry, I moved my happy little butt to Hollywood, California, and dove right in. So I did a ton of theater. I enrolled in classes. I did a ton of independent work. I also produced my own plays, which was really great. And then when I was roughly 26, 27 years old, I ended up meeting this guy who, blonde hair, blue-eyed, swept me off my feet. He enamored me. He gave me gifts. He sent me amazing text messages. He told me how beautiful I was, and that was something that I always wanted to hear from my knight in shining armor, from my Prince Charming. If you know anything about me, I kind of am a hopeless romantic, hopefully not hopeless for long, but definitely a romantic. And I loved that interaction with him, and we'll call him Paul. Well, my dream roughly came crashing to an end about 4 months into the relationship only. That was the first time there was physical violence, where Paul had actually attacked me and pushed me so hard against a wall that my head went through it. And I remember at that point stepping forward and looking behind me and just thinking to myself, I have to patch that, not, oh my gosh, I'm in trouble. So it's really interesting when you're in different situations and circumstances, how you react, right? Well, I ended up staying with Paul for roughly 4 years. And during those 4 years, I endured physical violence, emotional abuse, financial abuse, sexual violence. And I really didn't understand what I was going through. So fast forward 4 years out of that relationship, I ended up sitting in front of my computer in 2015, just like I'm sitting now, but of course not on a Zoom call. And I was documenting. I just began documenting what happened to me. And when I read it back to myself, I had an aha moment. Wow, I can't believe that I'm reading about me, because it didn't feel like it was me. Because when you're going through something, you make sure that you're a survivor. But when you look back at your past and you look at what you've gone through, you go, wow, I really was a survivor. And I cannot believe I went through that. Well, when I started writing, I began writing it in a play format. And I had a wonderful director, Jessica Lynn Johnson, but I was called to write a solo show. And my 65-minute solo show called But I Love Him, which is the same title as my book, debuted at the Whitefire Solo Fest in 2016. And it was awesome. And people could hear a pin drop at the end of my performances all the time. I'm always like, I hope they clap. And they did. It was awesome. But what really stood out was when people started coming up to me and saying, thank you for sharing my story. And it gave them hope to move past their situations. And then they wanted to speak up and share their story. So from there, I knew I had to do even more. I know a lot of us out there want to do even more. A lot of us want to help hundreds, thousands, hundreds of thousands of people. And that's where my heart has always been. But I didn't realize that this was the trajectory of my life. So from there, in 2017, I started a nonprofit organization called Unsilenced Voices, and we help survivors of domestic violence and sexual abuse. And now we are being advocates against human trafficking, especially here in the United States. But Unsilenced Voices is based in LA, but we work in Ghana and Sierra Leone. We just expanded to Rwanda this month, which is great. So we are definitely growing even in a pandemic, and it's been exhilarating. And then from there, I published my first book, which you guys can see here, which is called But I Love Him. And that is my memoir. And then I've been speaking on stages all around the world. I actually got caught in London and Egypt, coming back in March, trying to get back into the country because I was speaking at the Women's Economic Forum in Egypt in March. And then, of course, visiting our sites in Ghana and Sierra Leone. So life has been pretty crazy. But one thing that has led me to where I am is I've understood that my past doesn't define who I am. I've understood that no matter what obstacle we face, we can overcome, and we can use our experiences to help other people. So it took a few years. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I'm very, very transparent if you do know who I am. It took a few years for me to really recover from the abuse I endured. But once I did, once I started implementing the steps that I'm going to next teach you guys, I catapulted even through a death in the family last year. It's been a year and a month really since my mom died, but that was one of the hardest things I've ever had to go through, is losing my mom and being an adult orphan. It's very strange looking at my life in my 30s and not having mom and dad around. But how was I able to overcome? How was I able to look past my domestic violence? How was I able to take that next step forward and really use my intellectual intelligence to impact and empower so many people? Well, let me go ahead and give you those steps. So I'm gonna go a little slower right now because I took too long in my story telling you about who I am. So why don't we slow it down a bit? And I'm gonna ask you guys, have you experienced any type of obstacle in your life? And you can use the chat box. Just write a Y for yes or an N for no if you haven't. Just let me know that you guys are out there and listening. All right, I see some of you guys, which is great. So yeah, we have experienced obstacles in our lives, and there is a systematic approach to being able to overcome them. So the first step in our 5-step system to help people overcome obstacles and fear is realization. And a lot of people don't understand this. So recognize, right? You have to, yes, we have, okay, great. Recognize, you have to be able to recognize what you're going through. So like I told you guys, when I was in my abusive relationship, I didn't see it for face value. I didn't see it for what it was. So I couldn't recognize what I was going through. And that means I didn't realize, I didn't accept it. I didn't even acknowledge it. Once I finally got myself out of the situation where I was and sat and started documenting, then that's the aha moments that I had. The, wow, this is much worse than I thought. but I understood. I started to understand what it was that I had went through. And that is what is so important and powerful, because when you don't look at your life and actually address it and see it for what it was and what it is going to be, see, that's the positive, is how you react to situations, not being stuck in the moment and being trapped in something that is detrimental or that will make you not grow, right? So I learned to realize what I had gone through. And once I did, then I could take the next steps to actually heal. So the first step, recognize, realize what it is that you're going through. The second step, this might be the hardest one, but it's thoughts. We have to go from being able to understand, right? Like, oh my gosh, okay, I get it. But then not allowing our understanding to make us think negatively. So Napoleon Hill, or was it Henry Ford? One of the two, ended up saying, whatever you think you can or you can't, you are right. So if we had more interaction, I would love to ask, does anybody know what that means? I'll pause for a second because I know there's a couple of you that are interacting with me, which is great. So it's interesting that whatever you think, whether it's positive or negative, will happen, will come to fruition. So if you think negative thoughts, so this is where I typically have interactions, but I will pretend that we're power of thinking. Awesome, thank you. So if we start to think negative thoughts like I'm not enough, I'm gonna write some of these down, not enough. If we believe Joe Schmo down the street saying, I can't do this, right? Can't overcome. Will not succeed. Okay. I want you guys to look at this. Let's see if I can actually do it. I have awful handwriting, I apologize. But if we start to think these things, then we actually start to believe these things. Now, something that is amazing is that through the power of thinking, through your thoughts, you can actually change your thought process just by waking up and choosing your thoughts daily, choosing not to believe Joe Schmo and believing that I'm grateful, I can achieve, I can overcome. Oh. See, just here, I'll just do 3 words. Grateful, achieve, can overcome. We can add all kinds of amazing things in here. But when you start to think positive, when you wake up every day and you choose, I am going to make sure that I have a positive outlook on my life, even if I'm experiencing depression, even if I am experiencing fear, even if I'm stuck in this pandemic, I'm stuck at home by myself, I'm lonely, I don't know what to do. You wake up, you think, you reach out to people, you put people around you, great books like this. Sometimes you win, sometimes you not lose, learn. One of my favorite books by John Maxwell is Failing Forward. Amazing, amazing book. Because if you think that if you fail, and if you think that's the end goal, then you're going to fail. But if you think that every failure is a stepping stone to where you want to go, then you start to say that each failure is just that. It's just a stepping stone. It is just an experience that I've had that will lead me to where I have to go. Now, our life is not an even keel up like this. It goes up and it goes down, and it goes up and it goes down. Then we go up and then we go a little bit down. Life is imperfect, and we all know that. But we have to be able to choose our thoughts every day. I'll tell you a quick story. I remember being a varsity cheerleader my, sophomore year in high school. And I was working on a trick, a standing straddle back tuck. So I ended up doing this jump thing before I did a tuck. And I remember doing this at a game, and the other people, the other teammates, the other cheerleaders for the other team were calling me Howley girl, you can't land. And I didn't for a little while. I was landing on my knees and they were laughing and scoffing at me. And I allowed them to affect me briefly, you guys. And when they did, I couldn't figure out how to land on my feet. And then, you know what? I took a step back and I told myself, I'm not going to freaking listen to them anymore, because what they say doesn't matter. It does not matter. Just like what Joe Schmo down the street says, just like what your cousin says, or your mother, or your brother, or, you know, these naysayers, your coworkers, it does not matter. So then I took a deep breath and I threw it again and I landed on my feet. And if you know me at all, I was like, yes, right? And I wasn't in their face, but I was like, see, I told you I could do it. But it's all through the power of thinking, all through changing that thought process. There we go. So make sure that you wake up and you choose your thoughts daily, and you start to destroy those limiting beliefs, start to destroy what you really care about, what Susie says or what Josh says. It doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter. You keep going. So I know I don't have too much time, so let me jump into the third step. So we have to go from our head to our heart, you guys. So how do we jump that? How do we take that jump? So the third step in the 5-step process to help you overcome obstacles and challenges are feelings, right? So I'm going to let you resonate with that for a second, because once you start choosing your thoughts every day, then you have to be adamant about waking up and choosing how you feel. See, our feelings are something that just come to us, especially women. I know there's a lot of women on this call right now, but we feel, right? Every day we go through ups and downs. We have hormones. It might be that time of the month. You never know, right? But our hormones will dictate a lot of how we feel. So sometimes we wake up and we feel icky, right? We feel like that we don't want to do anything. What's the point? My stomach hurts or my head hurts. I don't feel good, so I'm not going to do anything. Now that's the problem, is when you don't feel like it and you allow those feelings to dictate your life, then you don't do anything. So let me give you some tips on how to start to feel better after you start to think differently. So you have to learn to elevate your feelings. What I mean by that is you have to first accept your feelings, which leads us back to step 1. So you understand what you're going through. So a lot of our clients have experienced, feelings of guilt, grief, fear, anxiety, depression, especially right now. And a lot of that does stem from childhood experiences. So we help them, we coach them through their feelings. It's so important to actually feel, because you have to feel in order to heal. Now, hear that again. You have to feel in order to heal. And that means that you have to actually allow these feelings to come up, the discomfort, the anger, the frustration, the whatever it is that you're feeling. You have to actually allow yourself to go through this. I learned this after years and years of therapy. You have to feel to heal, because if I don't address my feelings from childhood or adolescence, or even as a young adult, if I don't actually acknowledge what I went through, if I don't feel the pain so I can move through it, then it comes out in physical and or emotional ailments as an adult, meaning autoimmune disorders, chronic headache, chronic fatigue, stress, anxiety, all these things that a lot of people are currently feeling. So we want you to actually move past that by giving yourself a few weeks, a few months, 6 months, maybe even 12 months to actually work through some of these feelings, so you can start to wake up and choose to feel good. And it's so important. So we do not want you to experience a lot of the turmoil that so many people are because they haven't addressed their childhood issues. It's so important to do that. Yes, very, very important, Leah. So make sure that you work through that. I remember when I started finally feeling better, after my abusive relationship, and I started actually taking action and writing my play and writing and just doing things, right? Writing therapy really helped me. So this is a huge one. Take out a pen, maybe not a Sharpie, but take out a pen. Where is a pen? Here we go, on my desk, and just start writing. It doesn't have to make any sense whatsoever. You do not have to show it to anybody, but do stream of consciousness writing. That really helps get out a lot of the negative feelings that you might be having. And then, you know, it might go from, you know, I have to get lettuce at the grocery store, to I can't stand my brother right now, to I can't believe that happened to me, to look where I'm going now. You know, you never know how it's going to come out, but it is so important to take that pen to paper and just start writing how you feel. And this is what we teach you. Like, we have a masterclass series, and we help people overcome these challenges. It's a 10-module masterclass. If you're interested, I will go ahead and put the link in the chat box right now. Voice. Let's see if I can spell. And if you go to unsilencemyvoice.com, you can get information about that masterclass. But I'm not here to sell you. I'm here to give you some steps and tricks so you can overcome. But definitely reach out to me. And if you are interested, go to that link. And just because you're on this call, make sure to put in the code word inspiration to save $300 off retail. So you definitely want to do that. So that'll actually put it down to $497 for you. But we're only at step 3. So why don't we jump? Why don't we jump into the next step so we at least get to those pointers, and then maybe be able to have some Q&A at the end before we get kicked out of this room in like 15 minutes. So the next step in the 5-step system to overcome obstacles and challenges and trauma: step 1, recognize. Step 2, thoughts. Step 3, feelings. The next step is words. So the power of great language. What is crazy to me is that there has been a saying growing up. Now, I'm sure we've all heard it. Sticks and stones will break my bones, but names will never hurt me. And it's interesting that being brought up, I'm in my 30s, so this was something that we used to play on the playground together, and you know, just laugh and say things that you know, everything will just rub right off of me. Well, unfortunately, it's not the case. Words actually have longer lasting implications than that of even physical violence. When I learned about that, that was, oh my gosh, totally makes sense. So it's the importance of great language. Being able to listen to great podcasts, being able to jump on summits like this, being able to read amazing books and get around coaches and mentors that give you positive language, positive words. So this is the time that I typically will ask my audience to give me some positive power words. Now, I know that some of you guys are interacting. I know Leah's out there. So why don't we think of some positive power words together? So let's see if any of these come to you. So overcome, grateful, success, empower, encouragement. Let's see, beauty, life, you know, love, life. I'll even put love. So take a look at some of these words, even though like I said, that I'm actually trying to write nice right now to you guys. So all these amazing words, that what I want you to do next is get Post-its, write on your Post-its positive power words, and put them around your house. Put them in your bathroom, Put them in your car when you're driving to work, or if you're at home working, put them around your desk. I wish I could show you guys and turn my desk, because there's inspiration all around me. My family's around me. I've got great words of affirmation. And it's so important to have those words of affirmation so you can achieve your dreams, so you can wake up and not only think and feel differently, but start to speak differently. When I started to speak differently, instead of saying that, oh, I'm depressed, or I can't do this, or my life isn't enough, or I was just inhibited, at first. And when I started to say, you know what, I'm not gonna listen. I'm not gonna listen to these negative feelings and these negative thoughts. I'm gonna start to speak into the world what it is that I want to achieve. Like we talked about in the very beginning of this conversation, we want to achieve so much. We want to impact hundreds and thousands and hundreds of thousands of people. But how do we do that? Right? And you have to have positive words around you so you don't get trapped in the negative subliminal messages all around us. So you wonder why sometimes you go home after a long day's work and then you crave In-N-Out burger. I don't know if any of you guys love In-N-Out, but I love In-N-Out. That is one of my weaknesses. I love In-N-Out burger, especially the fries with all the chili sauce and cheese. So anyway, why do you crave In-N-Out? Why do you crave something that may not be the best for you when you could, cook yourself chicken or vegetables, things like that? Why do you crave In-N-Out? Subliminal messages, right? So when you drive down the road, we are constantly being inundated with messages from fast food joints to billboards to, I live in Southern California, so we get advertisements all the time on these billboards to go to Las Vegas even. So then it puts you in a state of mind where, oh, maybe I should go to Vegas and take a week off and just go party and enjoy myself. Some of these subliminal messages are great, right? But some are really negative and detrimental, especially if you are trying to move your life forward and catapult into a new realm. It's quite interesting that there have been so many successful people that have gone through so many challenges, and how they actually overcame them was by using words of affirmation around them all the time, plugging themselves into summits like this, listening to amazing podcasts. So, for example, Oprah Winfrey was actually fired from a reporting gig. Can you guys believe that? But she didn't allow that situation to define her or inhibit her or stop her. She is arguably one of the most influential human beings on the planet. And how'd she get there? She didn't allow all these negative subliminal messages, all these negative thoughts or feelings, negative words to stop her growth. Steve Jobs, look at Steve Jobs. He was fired from his own company. You know what he did in retaliation? He started another company, which was very successful. And then now he's back at Apple. So it's really crazy to look at these people. Thomas Edison. So he tried to invent this light bulb that we now use all the time. I'm using one right now. Look at this. We're using a light right now. Because of his achievements, all of us are piggybacking off of light, which is really great, but it took him hundreds and hundreds and 1,000 times to finally get the light bulb. But he didn't stop. He didn't let, naysayers down the street who said, you can't do this and you're just going to electrocute yourself. He didn't let them stop him. And because he didn't let them stop him, he now impacts millions and billions of people. There's 7 billion people on this planet, you guys. And because of his invention of the light bulb, most people use it. Now, I work in a lot of third world countries, so I know that not everybody has light, and that's not what I mean, but I mean that there are millions and millions of people piggybacking off of something that somebody invented thousands of years ago. Maybe not thousands, but hundreds and hundreds of years ago. So it's really, really insane what the power of great language can do for you and for your life. we teach you all of this. I do a lot of private coaching as well. That's an application process. So if that's something that interests you, make sure to contact me. I'll give you how to contact me now. If you're interested in a complimentary strategy session, you can text consultation. Let's see if I can spell it. Consultation to 26786. And this will, there we go. And this will give you a direct link to my Calendly where we can book a strategy session and see if we can work together. If we can't, then we can definitely, go over some tips to help you move forward. We don't work with everybody. I remember when I did work with everybody, and sometimes that didn't work out so well. So now, like I said, it is an application process in order to join the team as a client to be personally coached. But we also, talk about this in the masterclass, and the 10 module class really does help a lot of people. Since I have a couple extra minutes, what's kind of crazy is nobody's perfect. I'm not perfect. And when COVID happened, when I got stuck in Africa, when I got stuck in Egypt, when I got stuck in London and New York, trying to get back into the United States and trying to get back to Los Angeles, I literally came home, and for 3 weeks, I lost my mind. I didn't get it. I understood that COVID was definitely something that we needed to worry about, but I didn't understand why we all had to stay home. I didn't get why I couldn't see my friends, my family who are now friends. So I had a hard time in the very beginning. And I was talking to a friend, which I believe that she's going to be speaking later. I do not know what time, but Melanie McSally, amazing, amazing friend of mine. She's great with automation, great with all kinds of things, especially when it comes to technology. But we were having a conversation, and she's like, you should just talk about this, because if I'm experiencing it, she said, if you're experiencing it, then there are so many other people who are experiencing depression and anxiety. I remember I used to wake up and my hands were sweaty. I was like, why? What's going on with me? So I did. I went Facebook Live and I started talking about my feelings. And then I started to think differently. And then I started to use positive words. And then I started feeling better. So it was really interesting when I started implementing what we teach. When I started implementing our 10 module system from the masterclass, I started to feel better. And now I feel great being on Zoom calls. I used to hate Zoom hopping. Now I'm speaking on like 3 summits a week. I'm doing live Facebook interviews, facilitating those. I'm just branching out more. I learned how to pivot my business by pivoting my mind. And those 3 weeks, there was depression. Yeah, there was anxiety and fear, just like what our clients experience. But what I did to overcome that was the same process that I'm giving you guys, which is, it's mind blowing to me. All right, so we've only talked about the 4 steps, right? So let's jump into the 5th one before I get kicked off of this thread. So the first step, recognize. Second step, thoughts. Third step, feelings. Fourth step, words of affirmation, putting those amazing words around you. The 5th step is actions. Now, those action steps can be anything from seeking a coach or going to see a therapist to walking on the beach to going outside. Many of the action steps that we teach are exercise and sleep and eating well. What I mean by exercise is not going out and running a marathon. Okay, it's not going out and exerting yourself to the point where you can't feel your feelings because you're just so tired and you pass out, right? Because that's another form of a coping mechanism. We didn't even get to coping mechanisms, but we talk a lot about that in the masterclass, because there are negative coping mechanisms and there are positive coping mechanisms. If you drink too much, it's probably a negative coping mechanism. If you like to go and take strolls by yourself in a park and think, that's probably a positive coping mechanism. So when I say exercise, go out and breathe the fresh air. Look at the sky and feel grateful. There are so many people in this world who experience so much trauma, who experience things that we can't even fathom or imagine. I know when I travel a lot to Africa, I talk to a lot of women who've experienced things that I don't even want to talk about on this thread. And I know when I wake up and I decide to go outside and I decide to take, oh wow, I'm getting emotional, sorry. When I decide to take that step, when I decide to take in that breath of fresh air and decide to talk to God, you feel grateful, even if you're experiencing crap, right? But because you go outside and because you choose to take action, then you start to feel better. Yes, Leah, yes. Another action step, make sure to get enough sleep. I know a lot of people here, a lot of people, especially during the pandemic, are not sleeping well. And a lot of that stems from our thought process. Worry, we're all trapped in worry, worrying about our jobs, worrying about how we're going to put a meal on the table next month, worrying about how we're going to pay our rent. When you start to actually stop the devil, so this is another great book, I've got it, Outwitting the Devil, right? Sharon Lecter, Napoleon Hill, right, talks a lot about how to overcome fear, right? How not to allow the devil to come into our head and give us all of this worry. And what I learned, especially from this book, is that 80% of what we worry about doesn't even happen. So when we also worry, then it takes up mind space, and we don't want to take up mind space. So that's why words come before actions, so you can put positive words in your life so you don't spend time worrying. Also, I know I only have a couple more minutes left. Make sure that you really enroll, hold on to somebody, grab somebody by their coattails, where you want to go, what you want to do, listen to those people. Spend time with friends and family. And if you only can do it via Zoom or StreamYard or however you want to stream, do it. Jump on these calls. And I know, like for me, my love language is physical touch. So I've had to learn how to, do virtual hugs where I can still, touch myself, hug myself. I have a core group of friends. It's 4 people that I hang out with religiously, but I know because of COVID, and I actually live with somebody who's in his 70s, that I don't want to bring COVID back. I'm not worried about my health. I'm more worried about his. So I keep that group very, very small and tight. So the people who I need to see, like my cousin who lives in Portland, or the people overseas, I give them virtual hugs, and they give themselves virtual hugs, because that's what we need, right? We just need compassion, companionship. Make sure to get that. Well, in the next couple of minutes, I just want to give you a text opt-in to give you these 5 steps. So who wants these 5 steps for free? If you text UNITE, UNITE, to 26786, I'll put it in the chat, you will get a PDF of the entire system, the 5-step system on how to overcome obstacles and challenges and trauma. You not only have the text opt-in for the 5-step system, but if you also text consultation, like I said earlier, to 26786, then you will receive a complimentary strategy session. And from there, we can talk about masterclass. We could talk about coaching if you'd like. We could talk about really anything you want. It's your strategy session. I actually have 2 strategy sessions after this, one of which wants to start a nonprofit organization. And I am super, super excited to help her create a nonprofit, because the more that we all get to collaborate, the more that we all get to work together, the more sustainable change we will see in this world. So super excited for that. So, bring me your ideas, and we can see how we can work together and how we can change the planet, how we can change the world together. And it is so important to do so. So like I said, I know that we're going to be getting kicked off here in just a couple of minutes, but if anybody has any questions, right now is when I really want to open this up. Questions, comments, concerns, anything of the such, where I might be able to help you in this last 60 seconds. Thank you, Leah. Yes, please be in touch. I would love to. I love to. I really love to work with people. That's kind of just been my calling from the very beginning, which is kind of crazy. And you know, God didn't put me in these awful situations, but He's really made a gem out of tragedy, and I love that. And Leah, I really do hope to work with you. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Elise, I believe. Yeah, you can find But I Love Him on Amazon. If you, yes, He is amazing. Yes, God is amazing that way. Thank you so much as well, Victoria, for being on here. But yes, you can find But I Love Him on Amazon.com. If you do text the consultation to 26786, what I can do for those people who do book a strategy session with me, I will give you a complimentary copy. It's an e-copy, so it's not the full book. I mean, it is the writing, but you don't get the pretty cover or anything like that. But I will give you an ebook of But I Love Him. So if that is something that you really feel like that you want, go ahead. 28 seconds. Latha consultation. Yes, text consultation. Thank you, Cheryl, to 26786. And then from there, you can get my contact information, but go ahead and text consultation to 26786. And yeah, you can book that complimentary strategy session with me. And then we can go from there if we want to work together. I believe that's Latha. 3 seconds, you guys. Thank you so much. I love you all.
Okay, here we go. Here they come. Welcome back, everybody. It's a great day. I'm just going to type a what? Okay, good. So everybody's back from the breakout rooms. Let me just go ahead and hit a recreate. That will just take them all out. How many rooms do I need? Let's do 5, 6. I always like to have extra rooms. I'm going to do that manually. Okay, fantastic. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually move you guys now into networking again. So here's what happens with networking. If you're one of the speakers who's coming up on the next round, stay in the main room or come back to the main room. Everybody got that? I want to see you're all here. For the rest of you, this is networking time, okay? This is networking time. We'll have information from all the speakers all day long. So, but the important part here is you get a minute or less. Your name, where you're from, where you live currently, however you want that to look. And then at the same time, what your business is, and one thing that would just be amazing for your business today, pass information. That would be huge for you to network and help other people. This is about networking. So I'm about to drop you all into rooms. We're going to recreate. I'm going to automatically do it. If you're in the next panels, please, please, please just bring yourself back to the main room. If you show up in a room where there's only one other person, just come back to the main room and I'll move you into a network room. These are only for 5 minutes. So I'm just recreating the room, setting the option for 5 minutes. They're going to break in 5 minutes. Please don't be the only one who talks in the room. That's not how you do this. A minute or less, get to it. And you can always come back to the main room and chat with me, and then we'll set up the next breakouts and we'll be going right away. I'll give you guys a minute for a potty break. Okay, that's important. I got grandkids, I can say that. All right, here goes. We are moving into networking. 3, 2, 1. Go network. Everybody go network. Find somebody to network with. Have a great time networking.
Mute. Hi, Paul. Oh, I don't need to be recording this.
For those of you that don't know me, my name is Melanie McSally. I am your global profit optimization and technology expert. I'm super excited to be here. I don't know why my thing is telling me to join the main session, unless you're all trying to get rid of me. Anyway, I'm super excited to be here. I'm even more excited that you made the choice to be here with me today, because by making that choice, you're actually telling me and yourself, really the whole universe, that you're done being a puppet to your own business. You think that's a
Karachi, we had them on literally from everywhere. It was pretty amazing. So just understand that, there's a lot of good stuff going on. It says, looks like this challenge will use the one from last month.
Michael?
Some
You
of the couples
brought
had
me
some
back
challenges
into the
also.
main room.
I know, everybody, Everybody, here we go. Rooms are opening right now.
We're going to try the rooms again. It looks like Christine had a challenge too, Michael, with her system freezing up or something. So I don't know if it's a Zoom issue or a computer issue, not sure, but maybe you want to read. I think, guys, and I know this for a fact that Zoom is being overloaded. I know that they're probably stretching all of their limits, not because of our call today, but certainly because of our broadcast today, but certainly because of broadcasts around the world that has taken this thing to a whole different level. So once again, though, but if you've got questions for me while you've got me here in the main room, I'm glad to answer any of your questions. Let me see if I can get this thing down. I don't see.
All right, just give me one more second. I just want to make sure that everything is back. All righty. Okay, so here we are. We're good. All righty. So can you all